just started the conversation with what Alan Joy said this morning of Qantas, saying that if you're a passenger, if you want to get on a Qantas flight, you're going to have to show proof that you had a COVID-19 vaccine. Is that going to be a necessity for a passenger on an Air France KLM flight?
Well, I think the fact that we do have vaccines available within the near future is a very positive thing for the industry. Then we need to look what are the local rules and regulation and legislation country by country by country. And I think the vaccine will definitely help to restore confidence in travel. I think it's a bit premature now to say whether it should be mandatory on board of our flights or not. We are flying to some 80 countries in the world where, again, we follow local rules and regulations. Then, as an airline, we try to give the best possible service, offer hygiene, flexibility, and so on for our customers.
Pieter, good morning to you. It's Manis in Dubai. Rapid testing is one way to fill those planes with more confidence for Anne-Marie, for me, for your customers. Are you developing a rapid test? Do we need rapid testing more quickly to fill those planes before a vaccine arrives?
Absolutely. I think the rapid testing, which is now being introduced at some airports, and we work together also with Schiphol Airport to have it available here at the airport, is of big importance for restoring confidence of our travelers. So the vaccine is there, it will be there, it's good news, but it will take some time before it's widely distributed. Until that time, rapid testing should definitely help to restore confidence with our customers.
The one question I have on rapid testing is, even if you decide that you're going to do rapid testing on your flights, but what if a government says, even if you take a test before your flight, when you land 3 days later, which I know a number of airlines are looking into, you still need to self-isolate? How much of this is dependent on government policy?
Well, obviously a lot, and that's why it's so important to come up with some industry measures. An airline, probably even more than any other business, is such a global industry that we need to have global rules and standards. That's what has brought the airline industry forward over the past couple of decades. Now with this pandemic, every country is taking its own measures when it comes to healthcare, which is understandable to some extent. But when we start to restore air travel, we need to have global standards and global rules and regulations when it comes to these facts. And obviously, these guarantee measures which are in place today are very bad for travel and for the individual consumers. So if rapid testing could avoid that, that would be really a step forward for the industry and, more importantly, for our consumers.
Bill Gates says that 50% of business travel will evaporate when we come out of this and we get a vaccine. Do you estimate the same decline in business class travel, and will you trim your cabins appropriately? No,
I think that's. I'm sure he will have his own views and his own ideas behind that. But when we see what's going on in the market, and when we speak to our customers, we see that business travelers really want to come back, and they want to sort of engage again with people, travel to places, meet up with their customers, their clients, their business relations, and so on and so forth. So there's going to be a change in travel pattern. There's going to be probably more conscious flying of our consumers. That's so important that as an industry, we build it back better. We make sure that we have a better hygiene, a better service, a better flexibility, better sustainability, and so on. So I believe it will come back. The exact time, of course, will depend on the vaccine and some of the local economies.
I want to ask, Pieter, just where you are right now in the finances. Air France CEO last week said that you do aim to reach an agreement with the government to increase capital before May, but that cash wasn't urgently needed. So what we want to know and try to understand to you is then, when is it urgently needed? When will that assistance be needed by Air France KLM?
I think it's very important that the two governments, the one in France for Air France, the one in the Netherlands for KLM, have basically stepped forward very quick after the outbreak of the pandemic and provided loans and bank guarantees in order to create some solid ground for us in order to move through this crisis. Now we're looking somewhat further ahead, somewhat more to the future, and there's going to be a point in time, and I cannot and I will not speculate on what's the exact timing needed for exactly what measures. I think also, it's fair to say there's still a lot of uncertainties in the market out there, and even the news of the last 2 to 3 weeks when the vaccine is providing some sort of positive momentum for the industry. So it's a little bit probably premature to speculate on exact points in time.
maybe now is the moment to strike when the iron is hot in terms of a pro-risk for airlines. Do you think that there's more willingness from the French government than there is from the Dutch government, if the French to back France, than there is for the Dutch to back you?
Well, again, I think both governments have made a very important step and a very supportive step forward. Each of the governments has to deal with its own legislations, its rules, its parliamentary processes, and they're not exactly the same in France where they are in the Netherlands. Again, what is most important is both of them express very strong support for the two airlines and as such for the Air France KLM group to move forward and to get through this crisis. So again, the way it's being done may be slightly different. On the outside, it may look a bit different, but when you look to the content, 7 billion for Air France, 3 billion in loans and bank guarantees for KLM, and a set of conditions which are similar on both sides. It really underlines the importance the two airlines are having for their respective economies.